Hello, this is Dr. Mears. Today we're going to be doing cumulative frequency, which are called ogives, percentiles, and quartiles. So here we go. Here are the data from text messages sent yesterday from 25 randomly selected people. Arrow, here we go. So this was actually all of the data that you received for your activity. And you had to make a grouped frequency table and a histogram. And we actually did the group frequency table where we did 0 to 49, 50 to 99. But today we're going to be doing a group frequency with using our inequality symbols because our graph comes out really nice and we don't have to find our upper and lower bounds. So this is what I mean. First, we have to fill out the table. So before what you were doing, and let me block this out, you were just doing this. This was a group frequency where we're going to put our groups or our classes, remember you can call them either one, here, and then how many appear in each class by the frequency. So first we have to do that, and then we have to fill out the other two. So text message sent yesterday, what I'm going to do is 0 is less than or equal to x, which is less than 50. Remember, there's no equal sign here because it doesn't include the 50. 50 is less than or equal to x, which is less than 100. Here it includes the, oops, I'm sorry, my finger's in the way. Here it includes the 50, but not the 100. 100 is less or equal to x, which is less than 150. 150 less than or equal to x, which is less than 200. 200 less than or equal to x, which is less than 250. 250 less than or equal to x, which is less than 300. And 300, which is less than or equal to x, which is less than 350. So there are our groups. And now let's go and count to see how many appear in each group, which is going to be our frequency, or even each class. I might even start to use the word class rather than groups. So within the 0 to 50 class, 0 is less than or equal to x or less than 50, not including 50. I'm going to count down. And I actually did this on another piece of paper. Here we go. Okay, so I previously did this so the video would go a little bit faster. So if I counted, there are 11 between the 0 to 50, 6, 3, 2, 2, 0, 1. And if we count here, there should be 25, which would be a total. So I'm just going to put 25. That would be a total here. In counting, we do have 25. Now what we have to do is we have to find the upper boundary for each class. Now remember, the upper boundary is we would go to that higher number, 50, and we go to this number, 50, which is, this is 50 here, but doesn't include that 50, and this is 50 here, which includes it. Because these are the same, it's nice because that's just going to be, that's what our upper boundary is. 100 here, upper boundary. 150 here, 150 here, upper boundary. 200, 200, upper boundary. 250, 250, upper boundary. 300, 300, upper boundary, and 350. If we had another one down here, it would also be 350, which is our upper boundary. So that is actually going to help us make our ogive, which is our graph. Now, cumulative frequency. Cumulative frequency is what it says it is, cumulative. Cumulative means adding on to. So what we do is we start with what our frequency was for the 0 to 50, 11. So this is 11. Then the next one, 11, we take the 6. We have to accumulate the 6, which makes this 17. I got 17 from adding 11 and 6. Then we go to the next one, 17 plus 3, which is 20. So I got that by adding on, accumulating that next frequency. 20 plus 2, 22, accumulating that next frequency. 22 plus 2, 24, accumulating that next frequency. There is no number in this class, so it's just going to stay 24. It would be 24 plus 0. And then accumulating the last one, 25, because 24 plus 1. You should always come out with what your total is. Our total was 25, therefore this is 25. So what we did is we just accumulated that next one. And that is our group frequency. That's our cumulative frequency table. Yeah, that's it. This table is going to help us to make our graph. So if you can take out your graph paper, which should be the last page on this packet, we're actually going to make what's called an ogive. I love saying that, ogive. It sounds like a dance, an ogive. And so this is what your graph should look like here. I'm sorry if you can't see mine as well. I'm going to title it our ogive for texting. On your horizontal or your x-axis, this is where our classes are going to go, our groups. So this is going to be the number of text messages. Number of texts. And over here on the vertical, this is going to be where our cumulative frequency is going to go. So we have our cumulative frequency and we have our number of texts, which is our class. Okay, so where do we start? This is where our upper boundary comes in. So the point that you're going to plot is going to be 50, 11. So 50 is going to be on your X, 11 is going to be on your Y. So the first point is 50, 11. So we're going to go to 50. Please notice this does count by 20s, but there's a little line in between. So it actually counts by 10, but the 20s are just labeled. So I'm going to go to 50 here, and then I'm going to go up to 11 here. That's my first point, 50, 11. My next point is going to be, let's see, over here, 117. 117. So I'm going to go to 100 here, and then I'm going to go up to 17. There you go. My next point is going to be 150, 20. So 150 and then up to 20, making sure you stay. The next point, and I'm just going to now keep plotting, 222, 200 all the way up to 22. Next one, 250, all the way up to 24. The next point, 300, all the way up to 24 again. And the last point is going to be 350, and then right here, all the way up to 25. And, woohoo, that looks really pretty. We're going just to connect it with kind of a smooth curve. And there we go. This is the ogive for texting based upon our cumulative frequency and our class, which is the number of text. What this helps us to do is to find our percentiles. And so if you notice, we're going to go back to our next part on our paper, percentiles. Percentiles. It says pth percentile, the value below which a given percentage of observations fall. So if you think back to SAT reports, you received your percentile. So if I was in the 70th percentile, that means I am scoring 70% better than other students who are taking the same test. To calculate the pth percentile, it's this little formula, which you have on your paper, p times the quantity, n plus 1 divided by 100. Where does the n come from, you say? The n always comes from the number of observations. So our number of observations is our total, which is 25. The p comes from the percent that you want to look at, so the 50th percentile. To find the value, so let's say that I did score in the 70th percentile, I would also be able to find the value of my score, or what I actually scored, 1200. And so to find the value, you find the pth percentile on the y-axis and follow to the curve, drop down to find the corresponding x-axis, value on the x-axis. And that's what we're going to do right now. So let's look for the 50th percentile. That means if we were doing SAT, we would say that we would be scoring better than 50%. For texting, bringing it back into context for us, we're looking for 50% of people sent below how many, or 50% or below. So let's look for that. 50 percentile. Here we go. Okay. So what we do, we want to find the pth percentile, so we're going to do that first. So we want to find the 50th percentile. So that equals, p is 50, the n is 25, plus 1, all over 100. So to do this, I would please employ you to actually do this in a couple steps. First, add the 26, the 25, remember I got from the number of observations. Multiply these first. So on your calculator, it should be this. Yep, 25 times 26. Press enter, 1300. Now, if you know to move the decimal point over to the left 2 places, you can, or now divide by 100. Please do it in 2 steps, just like I did. You get the answer of 13. So the 50th percentile is equal to 13%. The 50 is equal, to 13. So 50th percentile equals 13. This means that we go to the cumulative frequency of 13. Now, this is to find the value. Cumulative frequency of 13 here. That's 13. All the way over till we hit the curve, and then we drop down to find the corresponding. And I'm looking, that's about 50. So if we go to 13, because that's the cumulative frequency number for the 50th percentile, go over here, we drop down, that's 50. That means our 50th percentile is 50 texts. 50 texts. Cent. Okay, 25th percentile. So first let's find that. So we're going to take 25, which is the P, multiply it by our 25 plus 1, and divide it by 100, and you should get 6.5. To find out the number of text from the cumulative frequency of 6.5, we're going to be going over here. We go to 6.5. Uh-oh, there's no line. So where do you think this probably drops down to? If we have 0 people, they probably have 0 text, so you're right. So let's go right here. So we're extending that line here. We started at 0, 0, 0 people, 0 text sent. So we're going to go up to 6.5, follow this over, drop down, and we get about 30 for our X. So 30 texts sent. 75th percentile equals 75 times 25 plus 1 over 100. That's going to equal 19.5 in our cumulative frequency. How many texts is that? We go over here. We go to 19.5 here. Oh, good. The curve is there. 19.5. Go over. Out here. Drop all the way down. That's about 140 texts sent. And now the Pth percentile. Pth percentile can be anything. You can pick one. I can say, I want to know what the 65th percentile is. So sometimes I'll be giving you an actual percentile. So let's find like the 65th percentile. I'm curious. So you would multiply 65 times 25 plus 1 all over 100. And that gives us 16.9. So the 65th percentile here, 16.9. So, oh, that's about 100 texts. And it's not going to be perfect. Okay. So to review, to find a percentile, you take the percentile and multiply it by 25 or n plus 1, 25 plus 1, and divide by 100. That gives you the cumulative frequency you need to look up in order to find the number of text at that percentile. What does this mean? Well, if you turn over to that next sheet that I gave you, these are the conclusions that you draw. So you might say, okay, I know how to do the math, but what does it really mean? Well, let's look. 50th percentile, this is approximating the median. Cool, the median's 50. That means 50% or half the data lie between the smallest value, which is the minimum, and the median, and the other half between the median and the largest value, which I'm going to call our maximum. So in context, our median number of texts sent yesterday is 50. That's it. And I bet on that activity, that's what you received too, but you did it a different way. This is using cumulative frequency. Okay, what is 25th percentile? Because we got a 25th percentile, and we got 30 text if you look back. So let's see what this means. The 25th percentile, this is called the lower quartile, which is quartile 1. That means 25% or 1/4 of the values lie between the minimum and the lower quartile. So let's see. That means 25% of the people, 25% of people sent 30 texts or less. Done. We could have even addressed this one as 50% of the people sent 50 texts or less. We can even write it like that. So there's lots of different conclusions to draw. So 50% of the people sent 50 texts or less, 25% of the people sent 30 texts or less. Let's see what our 75th percentile would look like. This is called our upper quartile. So these will never change. 50th is always median, 25th is always quartile 1, and the 75th is always quartile 3. Always, always, always. So this means 75% or 3/4 of the values lie between the minimum and the upper quartile. So in context, 75% of people, or of the people surveyed, I should say, sent, and let's look back on our other sheet. Look back over here, 140, 75th, yep, that's where I'm getting my numbers from, 140 texts or less. And this is from our sample, because this isn't everybody, or from our sample. This is not the general population. This is just from the 25 people that we actually received the data from. Okay, we could keep going on with the 65% or less sent 100 texts. So 65% of the people sent 100 texts or less, but I'm going to actually stop there because we are going to be concluding this video. There are more interpretations, but we need to wait until box plots, which are formally called box and whisker plots. I believe in your book they're going to be called box and whisker plots. I use the term box plots. And we're going to be exploring quartile 1, median, quartile 3, and what they can do for us. So there are more conclusions coming up, but we're going to have to wait. This is Dr. Mears. This has been the video on cumulative frequency, ogives, percentiles, and quartiles. Hope this helped. Thank you.